I am going to link to Aaron, the social worker, in the description. I'm going to use his videos to give support to my claim. I can only assume, because of the way he presents it, that these are exchanges that he has had with insurance companies. I wanted to get that out of the way first because it's important that you see what I'm talking about from the perspective of somebody on the other end. But today's topic is going to be why the Affordable Care Act failed. There's only one reason for that. The Affordable Care Act failed because the insurance industry owns all the legislatures. So, I like the idea of Medicaid. Notice I didn't say Medicare, I said Medicaid. Medicaid for all. The United States can afford to do a Medicaid for all plan by adding a payroll tax. Currently, we spend 2.95% of our gross income to pay for the Affordable Care Act. And all the Republicans are whining that that's not enough money. Okay, fine. Back in the day, when we paid half of the unemployment tax, we paid 3.25% unemployment, and our employers paid 3.5%, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think I'm wrong. In my memory, I remember paying 3.25% unemployment tax, and my employer paid 3% unemployment tax. And ever since then, employers have had the privilege of denying workers unemployment. So, the issue has always been, it costs more than we collect in tax revenue. Fine. There's 345 million Americans. Charge them a 7% Medicaid tax. Understand, this tax is regressive, which means that the poorer you are, the more it hurts you. 7% of $15,000 a year means more to someone earning $15,000 a year than it does to someone earning $250,000 a year. It's still only 7% of their income. But the guy making $250,000 a year, he's paying about that entire year's income for the guy who's making $15,000 a year. The tax is regressive. The poorer people pay more. Not in terms of the raw numbers, but they actually do pay more, which I know will make conservatives everywhere happy that poor people have to pay more. But you do a 7% payroll tax, and that covers Medicaid for all. And then cover it with private insurance. But now we'll be right back here unless we regulate private insurance. Because private insurance doesn't make money by selling insurance. They make money by taking your premiums and investing it in the speculative market. Now, I did a video on how speculative markets, companies that specialize in speculative markets, they make their money by committing fraud. And we'll never punish them. Never. Again, that's because they own the legislators. In reality, the people that are actually to blame for this is the American electorate. We're to blame for the Affordable Care Act failing. It was doomed to fail because the insurance companies basically bought the politicians. And that is the right word. I mean, and I don't care which political party you belong to, Chuck Schumer is just as much a property of AIG as Mitch McConnell is a property of CVS. So, insurance companies do a great number of things in order to increase their stock value and increase the net worth of their shareholders. CVS famously right now, and to be clear, CVS is not the only company that does this. They all do it. But they have a vertical structure. Their vertical structure just happens to be highly visible. For example, United Healthcare owns Optum. And if you use Walmart Specialty Pharmacy, so if you have to do GPL1s or basically any biologic, even if you're using the Walmart Specialty Pharmacy, you're actually buying that from Optum. Optum is owned by United Healthcare. United Healthcare is the majority shareholder, and I might be wrong about this. My information may be out of date, but Aurora Healthcare is primarily owned by United Healthcare. So United Healthcare has this vertical structure also. See, so you're providing drugs, you're distributing drugs, you're providing healthcare, and you're providing insurance. And ever since Humana, back under President Reagan, instituted the deny policy, and it literally is, it's a benefit management law where when a claim is filed, the insurance company denies it outright. They don't review it, they don't look at it, they don't do anything with it, they just deny it. And then you have to go through an appeals process. And it's because of that appeals process, I want you to watch Aaron the social worker's videos. He's showing you what the insurance companies tell him in those appeals. Again, it was a Humana MedFirst back in the 1980s. Carpal tunnel surgery. They approved the surgery for the non-dominant hand. And then they refused to approve the surgery for the dominant hand until it went to court. Then in court, during the process of the trial, they moved it into committee and then just left it in committee. They never reviewed it. That way it gave them the ability to tell the court that it was under review, and they never had to do anything with it. Because technically, until the committee gets to it, the court can't do anything. They haven't made a decision. So all that has to change, and that's not going to change if you leave that up to insurance companies, because the reality is insurance companies like the idea of raping and murdering you. They're evil people. And I don't mean the individuals that work in the insurance company. I'm not talking about the people that you're going to talk to on the phone. Those people have nothing to do with the decisions. I'm talking about the board of directors. They enjoy raping and murdering you. They like it. It's fun for them. And that's why they encourage these business practices, which at the very best would be ethically abhorrent, even if legal. So this is how you fix it. Insurance companies are not allowed to make healthcare decisions. It's away from their purview. If you don't want to provide insurance, then don't sell it. So that's the first part of the law, right? So you write an insurance law, and the first thing you say out of the gate is, if you do not want to provide insurance, don't sell it. If you sell insurance, you must provide insurance. First sentence. Then the second sentence. Insurance companies are not allowed, under any circumstances, no exceptions, to make healthcare decisions. That puts the onus, what medications are required, what treatments are required, what the treatment plan looks like. That onus now goes on to the healthcare workers. Now, 99.99% of healthcare workers, they actually want to see you get healthy. That small, tiny percentage, they go into benefit management. The ones that don't want you to get healthy, they go into benefit management. And I also think that we have to rename benefit management. We can't call it benefit management because it gives us the wrong idea. They're not looking for cheaper alternatives. They're looking for ways to steal your money. And steal is the right word. They're trying to steal your money. They're trying to take your money from you and not give you anything in return. So, that being the case, we need to make that illegal, right? So now we remove benefit management. We've removed healthcare providing from the insurance companies. They cannot make healthcare decisions anymore. That has to be regulated. That has to be explicitly stated by law. I have no problem with insurance companies diversifying investment. But if they're diversifying investment for the purpose of not providing the service that I pay them for, gosh, everywhere else in the world, that's called fraud. The only place it's not called fraud is the United States. And the reason it's not called fraud in the United States is because, say it with me, the insurance companies own the legislators. So now, we start here. So there's the outline of the law. Insurance companies have to provide the service they're paid to provide. 1. 2. They do not get to make healthcare decisions. 3. Get everybody in Congress out. Bring in a whole new Congress. Bring in a Congress that's going to agree to that. Insurance companies must provide insurance. Insurance companies may not, under any circumstances, no exceptions, make healthcare decisions. And you're going to watch the cost of healthcare literally half overnight. Once those two things happen, the cost of healthcare is going to cut in half overnight. I like the idea of doing it as a tax. And then everybody has a baseline health care. The government pays all the doctors and nurses and all of the radiologists, all of the phlebotomists. The government pays them. So you get out of med school, you work for the government. That has another advantage we'll get to shortly. And then if you want to jump the queue, if you want to wait less time, go out and buy private insurance. But the private insurance has to be heavily regulated, because if it's not, you're going to end up with what we have now, which is I pay my insurance company money in return for absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. They don't provide insurance. None of my medications are covered. Absolutely nothing. Basically, I'm burning the money that I pay to the insurance company. I'm making rich men richer on my effort. And in return, they provide nothing. They can argue, oh yeah, well, we provide shareholder value. That means nothing to me. Shareholder value is not going to take care of my psoriasis. I pay you to deal with my psoriasis. Shareholder value is not going to get me the permanent implants I need. I pay you to get those permanent implants. But since insurance companies aren't obligated to provide insurance because of our legislators, and then we, the electorate, keep re-electing those legislators, this is where we end up. So get rid of the legislators that are doing this and put in legislators that will do something else. And the something else they should be doing, in a perfect world, I want to see a progressive tax. Handle it the same way as we handled the income tax system. As your income increases, you pay more. Right? So start at the bottom, they're paying 3% for up to, say, $50,000 a year. When you get beyond $50,000 a year, it goes to, say, 5%, and so on and so on and so on. And that's a healthcare tax. And anybody who pays taxes, in other words, the illegal immigrants that aren't allowed anything, that pay $96 billion a year in taxes, well, they're now eligible for healthcare because they're paying the healthcare tax. Or you can do what conservatives want and deny them but still steal their tax money so that we can have more healthcare. I figure if they're paying the tax, they should have the healthcare, but I know that conservatives are going to disagree with me when I say that. Because, their taxes, they don't count. Yeah. But when you think about it, you set it up as a tax, you can get Medicaid for all. And then afterwards, you end up with what we have with the ACA now. No matter how badly any group in government wants to get rid of the ACA, it's impossible for them to do it. Because we've had it, and we've all decided that it works well enough. But the reality is the ACA is broken. The ACA is broken because of us, the electorate. We voted to break the ACA. Insurance companies don't have any ethics. They don't have any morals. The only thing they care about is shareholder value. And you'll really see this with Aaron the social worker's videos. His videos bring this out really well. So, alright, that's my solution, and I think it'll work. We start by implementing a tax, and that tax pays for our health care. Yes, it's a payroll tax, but we pay it. And it becomes independent of whether or not we're employed. Right? Because every time we're employed, we pay this tax. And if we're not using the health care, just like Social Security, this tax is paying for everybody that uses Medicaid for all. And then for private insurance, no healthcare decisions, no benefit management. Private insurance is not allowed to benefit manage. The only thing private insurance is allowed to do is pay doctors. And if you have private insurance, you jump the queue. You get health care sooner than you would if you didn't have private insurance. And for all of you people that say that sounds like socialism, then let's go with the system Switzerland and Germany have. Their healthcare system is entirely private insurance. Entirely private insurance. Completely. There is no government-sponsored insurance. Oh yeah, insurance companies aren't allowed to make healthcare decisions, and insurance companies have to pay. They have to actually provide insurance. It'll work as a private system as long as those two things are in place. Right? As long as the thought is to provide health care, a private insurance system will work. In the U.S., it will never be that way. Never. The thought will always be to provide shareholder value. And since the only thought is to provide shareholder value, well, then you've got to regulate them. Because investors don't have ethics. They never have, they never will. Regardless of what you think. Corporate citizenship. Corporate citizenship came about because of tax breaks. My dad thinks that Medicaid for all, if we force it on society, it'll be the way the Affordable Care Act is now. And you know what? He's actually kind of right. Because after you have somebody try to take it away, like they did with the Affordable Care Act, you're going to discover how many people want it and use it. But again, that's up to us. That's up to the electorate. We have to elect more Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warrens, Katie Porters. Right now, Kate Oskaba is running in Illinois, somewhere in Chicago. She's also a socialist Democrat, and she's really big on that. And hey, you know, I wish her the best, and if she wins, why not? We have to elect those people that are going to vote for Medicaid for all in Congress. And until we do, it's not going to happen. Until we tell our representatives that, hey, we're tired of being sexually assaulted by our insurance provider. Our insurance provider is going to sexually assault us. Who's going to stop them? The insurance industry needs to be heavily regulated. It needs to be regulated to the point where, like, for example, the Project 2025 people, I want government employees to be terrified to go to work. We need to do that to insurance companies. All of the executive management in insurance companies have to be terrified to breathe. They have to be enveloped in enormous fear and anxiety to wake up in the morning. Otherwise, we're never going to get insurance. Never. Unless we go with a public system. All right. I'm going to link Aaron, the social worker stuff in my video, or in my description. And please comment. You don't have to like. You don't need to subscribe if you don't want to, but please comment.